One of those calls we get on a regular basis at the office is, I've got this really good idea. I know it'd be a great training aid. I know it'd be a great product. What do I do next? And I've never taken a product to market in that format. I don't have all those answers, but I know a lot of our members have gone down that path and successfully brought training aids to market. And one of the most successful is standing right behind me, Jim Hackenberg. And so I asked Jim, I said, Jim, you've done this successfully more than once. I said, you probably have a pretty interesting story to tell. And he says, oh yeah. So, yeah. After 15 years of teaching and a few years of coaching or caddying on the PGA Tour, and a few years of working on bringing products to market, Jim's kind of seen it from all angles here in this business. So this morning I'm going to turn it over to Jim to talk about how he has turned his teaching business into Jimmy Hack Golf and some great products. So it's all yours, Jim.
Lord, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to it. This should be, hopefully it's fun for all, and hopefully there's some information you'll gain. But as I go through it, learn from my mistakes and learn from my good choices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe an idea that I had that developed into a teaching philosophy. With this viewpoint, I created a device to help enhance the learning process. This device I then turned into a product that I brought to the market. This product is the Orange Whip Trainer, which is the one on the far left. But I'd like to start it out this way. I'd like to explain how the idea developed. I want you to watch a few of these swings that I've got here, Tour Pro swings. And watch them from the perspective of athletic rhythm and balance. These are some of my favorite swings, just taken off the internet, and they're just, the rhythm is great. I had a very unique opportunity to caddy on the PGA Tour. While caddying, the guy I worked for was a workaholic. He was out there constantly, always trying to improve and work on his golf swing. Now, by working all the time, it gave me the opportunity to stand on the range and watch a lot of the players every day, see how they practice, see what they did. Some worked very hard, some didn't work very hard at all. But they all had a great rhythm to it. Now, I only caddied for a total of 30 PGA Tour events. I would work from January through May. I would go back to my teaching position in Martha's Vineyard for the summer, and then I would return to caddying. So I had the opportunity to watch the best players in the world, and then I had the opportunity to work with these folks. Now, great people, but they don't have the same motion as everybody else. There's a lot of different things happening here, a lot of different characteristics. We've all seen it. They're swinging, but it's not quite as athletic. It's not quite as powerful. It's more of a hitting motion. And that was a frustrating thing to try to teach because these people are hitting at the ball and not swinging through it. So I had this thought that athletic people, when they swing the golf club, it's a motion. Let me show you a few more. And as these guys are going, what I started seeing was these aren't tour pros, these are teaching pros and good players. But what they're doing is they are swinging back and forth in a balanced athletic motion. What I did was I stopped seeing the golf club as a golf club and I started seeing it as a ball on the end of a chain. And what I mean by that, the only way you can swing a ball on the end of a chain is as if your arms and body are in perfect sync. If everything's flowing together, you could do it. So, my very first Orange Whip idea was this. This is called the Mason chain. It's a prehistoric or a very old weapon, let's say. But if you were to grab this handle, dangle it below you and start very slowly, you could get it to where you could make a golf swing with it. Now, I wouldn't give it to an 18 handicap. They'd probably never come back. But this was it. I actually started making versions like this with a softer end than that. But it didn't work as well as I'd hoped, so I had to evolve. I tinkered around in my workshop, and this was my very first successful Orange Whip. I had some other versions that I had made with other items. But this is the one that worked. I went to a Home Depot. I got a fiberglass rod. I got washers, heavy washers, and with a cap on the end that we could unthread and change the amount of weight on each end. But through experimentation, we came to find that when it was balanced equally on both sides, when you'd swing it back and forth, it would help you find that athletic swing plane that I was describing. So I went from this version, with the way I put it together, knowing that I wanted to have a ball on the end of it, because what I was teaching was a swing. I wasn't talking impact, I wasn't talking club face, I wasn't talking golf really. I was thinking about emotion. If I could just present emotion to people, that would help them improve. That would help every level of golfer improve. So what I did was, this version here on your right, that's just a street hockey ball that I cut open, put it over the washers, so people would forget about controlling the club face and just swing a stick with a ball on the end of it. So I start using this version right here in my golf lessons. It was something I wanted to use to help my people learn how to swing. I was also using it in my own game and starting to get tremendous results. As a younger man, I tried to play the tour. I wanted to play the mini tour in the hopes of the tour. Didn't make the tour, didn't sniff it, but I wanted to improve. This was helping me tremendously. It was also helping in my lessons. During one of my lessons, Bert Ross says to me, he goes, "Jim, may I buy this thing from you?" And that's kind of when I had the eureka moment where it's like, hey, I can make a product, I can sell it, I can sell this, and hopefully become a millionaire someday. Not there yet. But what happened simultaneously is when I had this idea to bring it to market, this is going to sound silly, but it's what went through my brain. It was working so well for me, and I wasn't that old at this time, that I thought to myself, I'm getting better. Maybe I can still play the tour. If I bring this thing to the world, everyone will get better faster than me. I don't know if I want to do that. I questioned if I wanted to bring this into to the market. That thought lasted about 15 minutes, and then I realized, it's probably not wise. So let's move on and let's go forward. So what I did, this is the shed that was a range building on Martha's Vineyard. It's like a one-car garage. It's a mess in there. There's range balls. But I had a little workshop right here. It's a little cluttered there, but I was in high gear at this time. I was making my early versions. I was using doorknobs as counterweights. I was using cue balls. Had some versions over there. I tinkered around a lot. It took me a while to kind of get it down to what I liked, but I kept working on it and I kept developing the process. So, here's a little evolutional chart. I mean, I have more than this. I actually have a gun rack at home. There's no guns in it, but I have every step of my orange whips along the way. This is my first one. Well, actually, this one first. This is the second. This is the first doorknob. These are the first two I presented at the PGA show in January 2008. They had lacrosse balls on the end. These are the current ones. These are what we sell nowadays. And again, there's a bunch in between there, but this is the quick evolution. So, I've got a product. Now I've got to start a business. And believe me, I have very little business background, if any. I've got to know a lot of good people. They've helped me along the way, but I wasn't qualified to start a business. When I did, people thought it was funny, some friends of mine, but it's actually gone pretty well for me. First off, a business plan. A business plan can be extremely detailed, it can be very well worked out, or it can be written on a napkin. I was probably closer to the napkin. My main goal was to produce a high quality product, present it to as many good golf instructors, professionals, and good players, because for some reason they were the first ones to grasp the idea I was after. As I was presenting it to them and talking about it, that became my formula as to get it to the world. Make a good product, show it to the pros, get it going that way. In regards to raising capital, it was summer of 2007 when I was going to do this. I had a little bit of money in the stock market, not a lot, but I took it all out. It was $12,000. I put that into the business. It was good timing for me as well. The stock market, about 3 months later, took a big dive. So I took it out, put it in for a business. I had 4 gentlemen that I knew from various clubs I worked at, each put up $10,000 as angel investors. They just wanted to see me do well. They had hoped I would, progress this into a successful business. 2 of them stated to me that if after a year, Jimmy, this money's all gone, you've gone back to teaching and this has failed, we'll still be your friend, we still want to play golf with you. Fortunately, that did not happen. I was able to pay them back within 13 months and keep moving forward. So that's how I raised the capital. I did it on a very low budget, and as I go through this, you'll see I did everything on a low budget, very frugal. I've never wanted to put it this way, think of the tortoise and the hare story. I'm definitely the tortoise. I'm taking the slow route rather than the big bang. Big bang overwhelms me. It's too much happening at once. I needed to go slow. Where to start the business? I taught in California, Martha's Vineyard, Florida, Arizona. I've been all over the place. I chose Greenville, South Carolina because there's so much golf in that area. There's so much good golf in that area. I'm close to Georgia. I'm close to Florida. I'm close to Virginia. The Carolinas produce a ton of great players. I wanted to be around good players. I also had family in the area. I had nieces, brother and a sister and their kids, and they were going to help me start the business. So I chose Greenville, South Carolina to begin. As I'm starting the business, there's some protection you need. I wanted to protect the idea that I had, and I wanted to get a patent for it. I didn't know what the process would be like. Through a friend who confided in me some good information about what to do with a lawyer and introducing me to a lawyer, helped me to develop a process to get my patent. It took 3 years to get my patent, cost roughly $18,000. As I'm going along, I'm going, man, this is expensive. Is this worth it? As I come to find out, $18,000 was pretty reasonable. I really took the frugal route. And if you were planning to get a patent, my suggestion would be know well in advance what you want out of it without a lot of alterations in the process. I did not know exactly what I wanted. I didn't know what the important issues were. So it cost me a little more and a little more time because I kept changing my opinion on things. What it came down to was the weighted end where the ball would be and the counterweight on this end. That was how my patent went through it. It was a counterbalance issue that allowed me to get the patent. Now there's a lot of concerns like, well, will they still copy? Will it still be made in other countries? The answer is yes. But I'm not as worried about that because I have protection in the US on the patent. And I'm hoping that this is a huge pie. I'm hoping that a device like this, and I'm hoping it's an orange whip, I'm hoping that every golfer in the world eventually has one. And if I have a good chunk of that pie, I'll be fine. But you'll always have people following you. But protection, I think, is very important. Trademarks, copyrights, getting the name protected. That's limitless as to how much money you could spend. I mean, it's limitless. Again, I went frugal. I did what I thought was necessary. I took care of certain countries and other areas. But again, the question is how deeply should I go into this? And my best advice is talk to people. Find advisors, find people who know, who've been through this, talk to them. I'll gladly talk to anyone who wants to chat with me about it. I'd say I'm an okay resource, but I'm a guy who's just learning as I go. So now, when I started the business, I moved to Easley, South Carolina, which is just outside of Greenville. I was initially going to get an apartment. I was going to find a small workshop in an industrial park somewhere. Somebody said to me, why don't you rent a house and make the workshop in the house? I thought, that's a brilliant idea. So in the basement, I had a nice little workshop area. I was able to create a little workspace. And it was fun. I go to Home Depot every morning and walk around and just look for things that could help me with the process. I can tell this is an early version because we don't use tape on the grip any longer or solvent. We use air pressure to blow the grip on, and it's become a lot faster, cleaner, better process. So, like everything, the way that as you can see, the way they used to be made compared to the way they're made now, it's different story completely. And we don't do it in the house anymore. I'll get to the current manufacturing in a bit. These are some finished products. I just finished this upper right corner. That's where we would put it on the stickers. We would clean it. We would then set them here as we're packaging them, putting them in the plastic bags. I can tell this is at least 3 years old, almost 3.5 because I don't use lambkin grips anymore. The lambkin grips are made in Mexico. I had an objective to make everything in America. The orange balls and the white balls are made in Delaware. The shaft is made in Alabama. The tubing and the caps are made in Missouri, and the grip is made in Phoenix. And the reason I went to the grip, I'm a big fan of this company. It's called Star Grips. He used to make the Danny Edwards grips. He uses pure rubber. They're inexpensive, and I think they're high quality and simple. So this is the early manufacturing. This is kind of a humorous picture. This is my nephew. He just graduated from Notre Dame in May. But this picture is a little over 4 years ago when he was a high school senior. This is true. He got a perfect score on his SATs. So when he came over, I had him wear this shirt when he was working. And I took a picture of it because what I wanted to do, because we did all of our own marketing, I wanted to write that the orange whips are handmade by geniuses in the U.S. of A. And we would never use a saw, but I thought it'd be a humorous picture to do that. Okay, now with the orange whip, it's got some components to it that need to be considered. The shaft is very flexible. If it breaks, that could be an issue. We put the rubber tubing over the shaft to protect that, but still there's a breaking point. And we had to find out what would work best. Because like other golf shafts, there's an amount of flexure to them that you want to get the perfect amount. We designed this board. We had a string attached to it. We hooked up the grip to this end, and you'd pull this string on this pulley. And if you couldn't get the shaft to the orange, it was obviously not going to work at all. We had to get it into the orange at the very least, but ideally to get to this green section. If you could get it there, you would hook it up to a nail up here. If it could stay there for a minute, or well, actually, if it stayed there a minute without breaking, it was going to be good. So early on, we had some issues. The shafts would come in inconsistently. And that was very frustrating because we had a handful well, maybe a little more than a handful that would break from just simple use. It was never a dangerous situation, but it was concerning. We finally found this company in Alabama that found, let's say, the perfect recipe. It gets to this zone every time, it stays there, it doesn't break, it's a beautiful shaft. It's made my life a lot easier. And again, this is just a homemade device we made. Also, this orange ball, I certainly don't want that to sling off the end of it, because that would be a bad issue. We have this neck that comes out of the orange ball, there's a hole through it, we put a security pin through that with grade epoxy. We also then test it prior to sending it out. But if all that is not going to work out as well, we have liability insurance. And knock on wood, we haven't needed to use it, and I hope not to have to use it, but you have to have it. And we've paid more and more every year, especially since we've gone from being mostly working with PGA pros and selling online to now we're being brought into many retail stores. We're getting into the big ones, which I'm excited about because it's expanding the business, but they need certain levels of liability insurance, so I've had to step it up there. Packaging. Early on, when people would want to buy the orange whip, they just wanted the orange whip. I would demonstrate it, they would want it, I would ship it to them or they'd take it. And people who would order it online knew they wanted it. So I didn't care so much about packaging, take this in the right way, but my whole concern was just to cover it. But it wasn't attractive. It was a plastic bag, we got a U-line, and actually that hang tag that's on it, that wasn't existent. It was just a plastic bag that we wrapped around it with the information in here. Well, as we've grown and as we've become more of a product that's in stores, we've had to clean it up a little bit. So this is more of our current version. We bought a shrink wrap machine. We shrink wrap the orange ball, we shrink wrap the grip and the counterweight, and we put a hang tag on it. Now, I love the shrink wrap. The hang tag we're still working on. But that's kind of the beauty of it. Everything is always evolving and improving. And from a low budget, you get some funny stuff along the way, but that's just part of the deal for us. Marketing. Again, my number one goal was to get to instructors and get to PGA pros and get to good players. I'm of the belief that if a good player is using something, everyone who wants to be like that good player will use it. So this is the PGA show. This is a few years ago. What I get a kick out of is our booths. They're getting better every year, but they look like a garage sale. Whenever I kind of see that as a garage sale, but that's when you do your own marketing and merchandising, you get that look. It's effective, we get our job done, but it's not the cleanest looking place. But each year we improve, and I hope to be much better this year. Trade shows also, just consumer trade shows have been great. The more hands we can get it in, the better it progresses forward. So this has been a very good situation for us. This is some of our product pictures to kind of enhance it. And again, it's something you'll develop and move forward as you develop the product. This is our wholesale brochure, which I believe is in the packet with the Orange Whip brochure. And on the flip side would be the pricing. But again, we don't have a marketing company working with us. This is basically done in-house. Sometimes it looks like it's done in-house, but sometimes it's fun. You can kind of develop your own theme. This is a very lucky situation that happened. This is Inc. magazine. It's a financial magazine. They called me out of the blue, said, "Hey, we'd like to do a story on the Orange Whip. We hear it's a very popular item." They write a nice little article. It helped our sales a lot, but more importantly, it got me connected with more people in the business world. I had a lot of interesting conversations after this. So, and sometimes you can help this situation, meaning you can contact periodicals and tell your story. Sometimes they'll get to you, but this is a very nice way to market. This again I find funny because this is one of my early ads, and again, from a nostalgic point, I love this stuff because I look back at it and laugh. We progress and move forward, but I get a kick out of looking at these. And it's fun because it's something I was a part of developing, and I kind of like that. I kind of like to have the hands-on. This is a girl who worked for me. This is her neighbor, so he was our first model for the Orange Whip. And if we couldn't afford him any longer, we had to use this guy. So, and again, I like taking part in this, so it's always fun. And as you can see, I wear quite a bit of orange, which is my favorite color, so it's an easy thing for me to do. This is our product pitch for the 3 Orange Whips in the different sizes. Jim Hardy, I met many years ago at a pitching summit, and he's fantastic. He was so into the Orange Whip and so helpful and just a great man. He got into all of his tour players, and he really got it going for the tour on us. Now, he has now become a paid endorser, and we use him in some of our ads, but it's been fantastic. I'm a big fan of this gentleman, and he's been a real big help. So, going from a golf professional to becoming a businessman, you better hope you can juggle, because there's a lot of things happening, and it's a lot of things I had no clue about. I had no clue about how much it would cost, and no clue as to how much time it would take. So by me getting into that house and doing it all there, I was working all the time. But it's certainly something you got to juggle things around, but it's worth every second. I've enjoyed every moment of it. So going from this shed, feeling like I'm on top of the hill, has been a great ride for me. And again, I hope to keep it going. I think it will. So it's been a fun process. Well, here's our current manufacturing. We're now in a 4,000 square foot warehouse in Easley, South Carolina. This is just some of the basic angles of our shop and what we go through as a process. You can't see it, but on this picture here, if you were to pull this way, right here, we've got green carpet, we've got an orange peel, we've got mirrors, we've got a lot of different, and a putting green. I take my little breaks and I'll go in the warehouse and I'll do work on my golf game. That's where I work on it mostly, is there. You get this situation too where George Lopez has been a huge supporter. He gets it for celebrity tournaments. Through Facebook or Twitter, sometimes these pictures come to me. He sent this from St. Andrews, showing him warming up with his whip. Here's Bill Murray at Pebble Beach. He's got his whip in the bag, he's warming up to play. And again, this guy's got a handful of the tour pictures, but tons of guys on the tour, as well as the Wounded Warrior, which I really want to get more involved with the Wounded Warriors, because again, my concept, my big idea of swinging and balance, no matter your limitations, the Orange Whip I feel is a great product for that. More tour players, and that's it. That's my story.